Today's training is going to be on sellers' estimated net proceeds. And I think there's three main reasons why we want to learn this. Okay? It's not just for a presentation to your seller, but who else is it strong for? Your buyer. When a buyer wants to make a lowball offer, assuming you can come up with certain very important numbers, you can illustrate to them what this means to the seller. You might get better offers out of your buyers. And when you go to your seller, you might be a little more understanding when it comes to what their net is. Okay, first of all, sellers need to know. Most have no clue. Don't assume that every seller you talk to knows what their proceeds are going to be based on the offer. They have the listing price in their mind. They've sort of calculated roughly what they're going to get. Any offer below that, they're probably clueless. Okay? Don't assume they know. It also shows that you are an expert, and it will set you apart from your competitors. If you're competing for a listing, would it be important to be able to show somebody what their net proceeds are? Do you think? Do you think that's good information to have? The broker that I learned real estate from made us learn this as a part of our listing presentation. We would present it every single time. And we would present three of them. One at full price, one 10% below full price, one in between. Because the numbers do change. And he would review those before I went on my listing presentation. And if it was wrong, he'd tear it up, throw it on the floor, and kick me out of his office.
Can you get their payoff without asking them? For the net sheet?
You can get an approximate and then estimate higher.
Where do you get the approximate from?
You ask them.
Right, but what
You
if
ask the seller. They get their statement every single month. They have an idea. Now, let's say they don't know. Say, what did you pay for the house? That's good information to have.
Yeah.
Why do you need to know that? So I can prepare a seller's net for you. What did you pay for the home? What did you put down? Just with that information, unless they've owned it 20 years, run with that. We paid $400, we put 20% down. Bam, $320. Plug that number in and use that number. What's the service that you know that you can find out the mortgage balance?
Realist. Yeah, you go to Realist
You-
Foundry.
Realist? Okay, that's the
Okay.
question.
It's important to know
It's
that.
at the bottom of the.
If you don't know, estimate high. But if you're competing with 2 or 3 other realtors, I promise you, they're not bringing a seller's net sheet. I've never won a listing from a seller that they said, hey, look at the agents at so-and-so showed me. Do you agree with this? I've never seen one. And we used to have to do it. Okay? It can also, it minimizes commission arguments or questions about your value. Why? Because you will see very shortly that just about everything on here is negotiable. I can skew the seller's net simply by suggesting we push certain costs to the other side. Does that not make our commission seem less significant? Remember this. There are 2 or 3 huge deducts from the purchase price to create a seller's net. What's usually number 1?
Commission.
Mortgage.
Oh.
Mortgage. God forbid our commission's more than their mortgage. No one would use a realtor. Mortgage. What's usually number 2?
Taxes.
Depends on the price of the home, either taxes or commission. Okay? Then you start getting into all the things that can go either way. Okay? When you demonstrate that not only do you know that, but you know how to push them to the other side of the table, all of a sudden, them beating you up over 1%, when somebody wants to beat me up over 1%, I just look at them and say, are you going to pay title policy? Well, sure, I'm supposed to. I'm the seller. How about if I get the buyer to pay it? Can I have my 1% back? 9 times out of 10, it's about the same thing. They'll say yes. And there's other costs that can prove your value. Every real estate professional doesn't know that. Let's just talk about title policy for a moment. Whose responsibility is it truly to pay for the title insurance policy?
Buyer.
I heard seller and I heard buyer. Okay, it's an interesting question.
It's for the buyer.
Who, let me rephrase, who has to have the title policy to close? Why? Seller already has one.
Yeah.
They already have one.
Yeah.
They don't need one. Why would a buyer requirement automatically fall on the head of the seller? Old school. But if you're talking to someone that's over the age of 40 and they've owned that home for more than 10 years, they probably don't know that nowadays it can go either way. How do you demonstrate that? Show them one page of the contract. Some title policy to be paid by blank box buyer, blank box seller. You can check the boxes. Why do you think there's two boxes there? Because the seller doesn't need the title policy. But most often, the seller pays it because that's how the buyer's agents present it. Okay. I can minimize the commission argument a bunch of different ways by proving my value, by my negotiating skills, and my ability to push costs that normally a seller would pay to the buyer. Want proof? How many builders are paying for title policies on behalf of the buyers now? Almost none. Almost none. One of the main reasons builders use their own contracts is they can build in costs that they're not going to pay straight to the buyer's side, so when the buyer pays it, signs that contract, there's no conversation about it. Most developer builder contracts have the buyer paying for the survey, the title policy, warranties are included. Okay, let's pass this around and we'll start talking about it. Everybody needs a calculator, maybe a piece of paper. The person that gets closest to my perfect number wins this book. The Language of Real Estate. The Encyclopedia of Real Estate. Which you should all want to have by the end of this. Okay.
Don't order it in, you might want.
You're going to need to take notes.
I guess I'm not.
Let me know when you all have your piece of paper in hand. By the way, if you fail this miserably, we need to meet. Here's why we need to meet. Here's why we need to meet. Because you're not representing your sellers properly if you can't do this. You missed that day in real estate class. You forgot or you don't know. My job to make sure you know. Our clients are my clients and I'm responsible for your expertise. I take that very seriously. There's a reason Camelot's been in business 27 years, counting my 5 years that I did this before Melanie and I formed Camelot, and never had a grievance, never had an arbitration, never had a lawsuit. And that reason is do this right. Okay, everybody ready?
Okay.
Purchase price. No talking, please. No questions and no asking your neighbor for help. You should all know this. Your test will be taken. It will be ripped up like you're in 3rd grade if I see you cheating.
Darn.
Purchase price, $427,500.
I'm sorry, say that again? Can you write it on the board? That's a big.
$427,500. If you look at your form, there's a blank for it.
Yeah, I know.
Closing date, 6/30/19.
Yeah.
By the way, if you don't know, don't ask. Figure it out. Mortgage balance. Here's your payoff. $268,423.19. I'll write it on the board. 268, comma. 423 decimal point. 19. Payoff is good through 7/5/19, well past the funding date. Commission, 6%. Doesn't matter where it gets split up, right? Right. Option fee, $250. I'm going too fast, let me know.
Is it gonna be added?
Title insurance premium. Figure it out. Figure it out, pass it on when you figured it out. This is a tricky one. You'll see why. Earnest money, $4,500. Survey. About $450 paid by buyer. Prorated taxes. You must know who owns the home the day of closing to get this right. Assume the closing is June 30th and use 2.2% as your tax base. I could have said 1.2. Let's try 2.2.
Yeah.
$2,500 repair allowance. Loan application fee of $475. Paragraph 12A for $1. What is paragraph 12? Anybody?
Seller.
Very good.
contribution.
Yep, seller. That's good enough. Here's your dollar.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Seller credits to buyer.
No, an application wasn't.
I use that way too
What
much.
did you say?
Hold on. Loan application, $475.
Oh, okay.
Paragraph 12A,
Unknown.
$3,700. What?
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Seller contribution, paragraph 12A, $3,700, $3,700.
In addition to the repair amount?
Miscellaneous. I want you to put in $500 always. Always put in $500. Doc fee, recording fee, wire transfer, I mean, whatever. There's a million different things. Trust me, there's always $500 in miscellaneous. And on a net sheet, is it always better to estimate high or low? High. Be a hero, don't be a zero.
Zero.
I'll tell you guys a funny story in a minute. Miscellaneous 500 is the funny part of this. Appraisal. They're about $450, but you should know that. Appraisal's $450. Okay. Now, while you're calculating this, I'm going to talk to you. So keep calculating. Sort of listen, sort of focus. On the bottom of a net sheet, you should always write some language to the effect of, this is an estimated calculation. All calculations should be verified by your lender and title company. Agents and brokers make no guarantees as to the accuracy of these numbers. They are for information purposes only. Keep writing, Alex. Figure it out. Fill in that sheet. However you get to it, I want to know what your estimated net proceeds to the seller are. Closest one to my number gets the book.
You said check with your loan officer and title company, is that what you stated?
Anybody who's preparing that document besides you. If it's an attorney because it's an abstract or a contract for deed, if it's a title company, information is given to the lender. By the way, can your lender do this for you? Absolutely. Can the title company do this for you? Absolutely. You want to look like an expert? Tell your seller that you will reach out to verify these numbers and get a preliminary closing disclosure for you within 24 hours of them signing the listing agreement. Or prior to, if they prefer. Then what happens? You've got a document from somebody who actually does this for a living that you can compare to your worksheet and figure out what you did wrong.